welcome to my presentation on my Star Wars API project. My name is Zachary Johnson. The API I used to make my project was the Star Wars API. It's literally called the Star Wars API. That's its name. It is a list of Star Wars information you can pull from: characters, world, races, and more. I only really did characters because I wanted to keep it reasonable and time frame. For the Bootstrap I ended up using, it was the blog post, because I just removed elements from it to fit my intention. Like, it has a search function, it has text, it has a place for an image that I wanted. Like, I like the sidebar. So even though mine is nothing like blog post, it fit my purposes. I'm actually wearing my Star Wars shirt today too. As far as the JavaScript that I used, first is a function called SW, which gets past name, so the name you're searching. Then an AJAX call that calls the URL of question mark means it's a search. It is searching through the database of names, and it gets past this name. And then just some tests to make sure things were working. This is to show the response. This is to show the name, the console logs. And then the second part of my JavaScript, this is the entire thing of the JavaScript, or of that part, what I showed before. And then there's this, which is something I learned, because I have it later on, I'll have it show amend in the information. If you search for a second time, it adds on to it again, so it shows both things of information. So this deletes all that information when a search has been made, so the new search will be populating and the other one will not exist. And this is just it populating it in, and it amending into divs, filling it with this paragraph of character something plus the properties it's supposed to have. I took out, like you can see, I took out homeworld because that one was a bit weird. Like, instead of a name of the homeworld, it returns the URL that then would be led to the homeworld. It was confusing. Issues that I had, you really had to pay attention to what data type you're getting when you're requesting data. I had it pointed out that it is sending me a array. So I couldn't access anything because I wasn't trying to access an array. And another issue I had was when moving existing objects from a bootstrap or something, make sure you try to understand if they interact with another part, because if you accidentally delete too much, it messes with the page and it might not be what you want anymore. So sometimes it's good to just delete piece by piece, like one at a time, see if anything is wrong or anything like that. Some lessons learned, like I mentioned earlier, with the amend command. Depending on how you're doing that, and if it's something that's going to be repeated, you might need to delete what was amended before if you don't want that to show up along with what you already had. Another lesson I learned is documentation is very important with an API. I actually was going to be using a different API for this when I first started this. It was one where it like translated into different like fake languages, like fantasy languages and stuff like that. Like there's a Yoda translator where it translated into how Yoda speaks, but the documentation for the API was like non-existent. I could not figure out how I was supposed to call things and stuff like that. The Star Wars API has a ton better documentation and like very helpful. Um, Another thing I learned, knowing what the HTML code means helps quite a lot. Like I have some experience with HTML, not a whole lot, but knowing what certain tags mean within the page. So when you're trying to find something, delete something, or change something to fit your current needs, it helps to know what you're looking for and what their intended purpose is. Excuse me. The next lesson I'd say I learned was testing is very important. If I hadn't tested my code, I wouldn't have learned that it like the amend problem, like it would overlap after you do a second or third search. It's very important. So like test out all your functionality and make sure there's not something you didn't not expect. Another thing I learned, Google Stack Overflow is always a good resource if you're running into a problem. There's a good chance someone else has run into a similar or the same issue. So by looking through that, Googling something, possibly looking through Stack Overflow, you might be able to find solutions pretty easily. It's something I learned a lot since I've learned how to code. Like so many people code that issues are out there. It's a good chance someone else had the same issue. Then this is my actual web page. This is what it starts out as. Star Wars search with the image, and then right here it might be a bit hard to see, but I typed in R2. The search engine of the API. It takes it can take incompletes, like it searches through to find matches, and then once it has you hit the search button, you hit the go button, it'll display its character name, character height, hair color, skin color, eye color, birth year, gender, and for some reason this is not something I did wrong, but it's very weird on the API's side. It has all this information, but as far as I can tell, anyone who you search for will have a character description of a person within the Star Wars universe. I kept it because it seemed funny, but yeah, that seems to be everyone's description. I don't know why when it has all this other information. But yeah, this is what I meant by the amend thing. All this information, if you had searched for Luke Skywalker without my deletion code, it would populate the name beneath this, populate his height beneath this, and then it overlaps everything and it looks really bad. I'm thinking of actually continuing on with this project in the future when I have the free time, because I think I could add more search things. Right now it only searches names. I'm thinking of trying to add some functionality where it searches planets, races, and stuff like that, the other things of the API that it exists. But yeah, that is my project. I hope it was interesting. Thank you for your time.